volume. Okay, well, today's Facebook Live is entitled "The 9 Signs of Overtraining." Avoid them now. And I should have Warren here. I don't know where he is. He did put something on the message earlier saying, "I'll see you at 5." Well, that's 5 o'clock his time and 4 o'clock mine. I hope he doesn't mean 5 o'clock mine. So, okay. Okay, yes. So a little exercise is good for you, but there comes a point. Well, let's say it's up to a point. The more you work out, the more you achieve. But there is a tipping point. The tipping point is when the amount of exercise you perform can do more harm than good. Now, I remember as an athlete that I used to have a set program, so it wasn't really a problem. But I am aware of lots of athletes that did too much, and they really, really do pay the penalty for it. And can anyone here just confirm that you can hear me, please? I know I've got a few people on here. If you can just come on Facebook and comment, let me know. That'd be great, because I'm not getting too much. It doesn't feel like I'm. Hang on, let me take my earphones out. Okay, can you hear me at all? Is that better? I'm hoping you can. I have absolutely no idea whether you can hear me at all. I'm having a few problems with the sound, and okay, I'll just carry on for now, and you can let me know if you can't hear me, if you just see the lips moving. So, okay. So, as I say, there is a tipping point in which the amount of exercise you do is too much. Have you ever hit that place before? I remember when I was an athlete, as I say, I didn't have. Oh, great! Thanks, Leanne. You can hear me. Fantastic. I had some earphones in, and it was because I hadn't got some of the bounce off. I wasn't sure if anyone could hear me, but thank you for that. There is such a thing as overtraining syndrome, which is called OTS, and it is the tipping point when you've actually gone too far. Now, this could really apply to people in the beginning, because maybe their body's not used to doing training, and you can overtrain and get things like shin splints for which I've had before. So what is the real problem? Well, you get a reduction of fitness levels, and that can be really, really off-putting if you think that every time you go out for a run, or it could be other sports as well, but I'll keep it to running. You go out for a run and you're doing very well. You're wearing your watch, you're timing yourself, and instead of getting better, which normally happens, you start getting worse, and your times go down. You don't feel so good. So what we need to do is recognize the early signs, and we need to combat and prevent the detrimental parts to your fitness. It's not all good all the time. Okay. It's all about awareness, and we want to improve every time, or at least, it depends what day it is, because sometimes you'll dip a little bit. Maybe you're a little bit tired from the day before, and all that's cool. But what we're talking about is where it really, really starts to go downhill. So what are the 9 signs, if you want to call them that? The first one is decreased performance. Now it's like the death knell to the athlete. A lack of improvement. Even if you're increasing intensity, it's not getting any better. It becomes worrying. It becomes noticeable. And if you're working on your own, you'd worry because you wouldn't know what was happening. You would have a decreased or diminished agility. You'd have diminished strength. Your endurance would start to narrow down. In fact, you'll just slow down. It's as simple as that. So your reaction times will also change, and your running speeds won't be like they were. All these are the type of common things that happen, when you're doing too much training. Now, the only time I can remember doing too much training was in 2001. Got divorced and basically ploughed into training, and I got to the point where it became a little bit obsessive, and I couldn't wait to get to the gym or go out for a run. And I got so fit, it was unbelievable. But it does have knock-on effects. Okay, so number one, decreased performance. Number two is you have increased perceived effort during workouts. And hang on a sec, I think Warren's trying to get on. Just bear with me a minute. Okay, Warren, if you can hear me or see me, it says here that you will need to connect your mic or cam before you can. You would need to reconnect your mic and cam before I can add you to the stream. I'm going to crack on. Obviously, I don't want to stop. And there we go. Hey, Warren.
There we go.
Hey, look that's no good. We're both wearing yellow. What's going on? Yeah, I can assure the people that they're not team t-shirts.
It's not Team Paul. No.
This is my favourite running top.
My humblest apologies for being late.
Oh no problem. I'll tell you, things happen. I'm just running through 9 signs of overtraining, and the first one I've covered was decreased performance. Now I'm talking about the increased effort that you have to put in, or you think you have to put in because it's all going wrong. It's basically because there's a lack of improvement. Now Warren will bear me out here. This is where a coach comes in.
Yeah.
It's right, isn't it?
True. Yeah. 100%. Okay. Yes.
Now I did 2 years training for the marathon. I didn't have a coach. I used a book, which was fantastic. However, there's more to training than just training.
100%.
What things can you pick up as a coach that may stop someone overtraining?
Well, I don't want to potentially touch into your.
You touch in. I just point. Say something that I was going to say. I'll just bypass it.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right, Paul, because the importance of having a coach is a visual aids. That the coach can see things you can't see. The coach can also hear things you can't hear, and the visual aids is like things like, if you're overtraining in the session, in the actual run, whatever you're doing, the coach will be able to see the color of your skin, the tone, and the clamminess in your skin. There's these kind of factors. The color of your lips. All right.
Yeah.
If you're too flush, basically. And then the other thing is that the coach will also be able to see other signs, like, for example, irritability. If you're starting to get impatient with yourself, if you're getting irritated very quickly, your mood swings. These are very clear signs that someone's just overtraining a little bit too much, and it's But those are the most obvious ones from a coach's perspective. And then also non-conformity. When somebody's not conforming, they become stubborn and they choose not to conform. Then something's up.
Because they're getting the hump about it.
Yeah, they are. Yes, yeah. Subconsciously, they are. Yeah.
That's why they can't understand. Because maybe if it would happen probably more with someone who hasn't got a coach, but they are doing more. They're working harder. Thinking that they're going to do better, but it doesn't always work that way, And because the other thing is elevated heart rate as well, because you'll be working harder and not getting the results that you really want. So, and you'll feel it. You'll know. I mean, the biggest thing is awareness. As an athlete, you've got to be aware of what your body's doing, how it's feeling, whether you need to stop, whether you need to go faster, whether you need to ask someone or inquire, and that's why I found. I was fairly intelligent in that respect. I knew when I was overtraining. To be fair,
okay.
but I know a lot of people that don't, and I get it either way. So,
well, also,
yeah, I mean,
people choose to stay in denial just due to the nature of their their nature. Basically, there might be a stubborn Taurian, for example, or something like that, or they refuse to give up. When and in essence, they're just denying all the time that they are overtired, on a regular basis. They're not getting this quality of sleep that they know they should be getting.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to what I touched on last week as well, about just learning to listen to what your body is telling you. Listen to the signs.
Yeah. Well, as I say, I made some notes earlier, so I will refer to them, and it brought the memories back of when I was training, and the third thing on my list was excess fatigue. I remember there were times when I felt really sluggish. I had heavy legs, and I didn't feel like training. And if you consistently do that, as you say, you won't want to do what your coach wants you to do. You start rebelling, and it also, I mean, the problems are really starting to mount up the longer you leave it. So,
oh yes,
yeah.
Oh yes, oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've got this in your list. To be honest with you, I don't know if you have.
Well, I did have.
But,
I'll tell you what I did have in there: irritability and mood swings.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's cool. I mean, that's it's only a guide, so it's keep me on the right track.
One of the biggest things that people don't know, and they don't know what the signs look like, is when you have chronic fatigue and your I can't think of the word now. I've lost the while I was thinking about it. I was thinking what is the
energy?
term? What's that?
Energy?
No. It's
concentration.
it's to do with
another thing that goes.
No, it's to do with like your glands. So it's you get chronic fatigue.
Hormones. Hormones?
Yeah, kind of like that's not hormones. It's not but yeah, similar to that. So your chemical imbalance in your body is out of sync. Yeah, your chemical balance, and people don't understand what that feels like, looks like, and how they experience what they're experiencing when that's happening. And that happened to me until somebody actually told me that somebody did an energy test on me, and they said to me, "You're about to have a breakdown."
Yeah.
And that's because I just wasn't paying attention to the signs.
Well, it's like, again, you go back to the old thing about taking breaks, and you need the full arsenal of things, such as the coach, knowledge. You need, and because one of the problems you've got is that you have, and I looked this up, and it was they called it. I'm just going to get it. It's cluster conditions. You get a cluster of conditions, and it's like when your immune system's down, you get one thing goes wrong, then another, then another, then another. It's a bit like a building collapsing,
like a cascade effect.
Cascades, and and I think that I've overtrained once. I think I could have done more, but I didn't realise, and it made me grumpy. That was the biggest thing. Grumpy because you think I'm working hard, I'm doing what I said I was going to do, and I seem to be going backwards. So you sit there grumpy for a little while.
Yeah.
So all I do is I'll back off. I'll go and have a bath, or I'll go and read a book, go and listen, like I did before I came on here. Listen to music. I was listening to the Who.
Very nice.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah, and something else I can't remember. The Mark Knopfler, what his name is.
Dice Straits. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
very good.
much as you, I want to keep on working. but you know you have to take a break.
Well, this is exactly why I was late.
You won't need to again, man.
No, seriously. No, I knew I needed to have a break, so I went down to have a 20-minute cat nap. Seriously, a 20-minute cat nap,
okay. Yeah.
which works wonders for me, And I asked the missus, I said to her, please wake me up at 1:45, so that I could get up, have enough time to get online, everything. And then she wakes me up at 5 past or 3 minutes past. It's over time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
so
right.
I do apologize again.
If you're not on by a certain time, I then for the last 5 minutes I'm thinking, well, okay, you'll come on when you're ready, and I just continue. So it's
Not the end of the world.
But the funny thing is, when you're on your own, right? It's because if you're with someone, you can go back and forth and you can bounce between two. But the worst thing, it's totally silent, and you don't know. You don't know if it's on. So I spent the first few minutes saying, anyone come up and tell me if it's on or not. And then yeah, it's really, really funny. So anyway, so we had the mood swings. You're going to be moody. You're going to be grumpy. Your inability to concentrate. All those types of things. And then we move on, which is the one we bang on about all the time. Can you guess what that is?
Please tell me.
Sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep. You get a crappy night's sleep if you're overtraining because it's all going wrong. It's like watching a fantastic, really action film about 5 minutes before you go to bed. Because you go to bed. No, you do. You go to bed, and if you've been out running late, you try and go to sleep or try to relax even. It's virtually impossible. And if everything's going wrong and you've got this heavy training pattern because you're going for a marathon or triathlon or anything really, then what's going to happen is you're not going to get a good night's sleep. Simple as.
Well, to be honest with you, that's never ever happened with me. I'm just very fortunate in that regard. Touch wood. That's never happened with me.
Yeah.
No matter how fatigued I've been, sleeping has never been an issue for me. It's just seriously, I'm just blessed. I fell asleep one day standing up. So, yeah. that's how.
Yeah, but I've got this habit. I used to have this habit of going out running late, and I also had the habit of staying up late and working late, and also. The other one where I watch, box sets. I love box sets.
Okay.
Okay. So there was a program. It's not on at the moment. It was about 8 series. It was something called Spooks. It was
Spooks.
Oh,
great series. Great series.
Yeah, have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah, and basically, a spook is a spy.
Yeah.
And So it was great. And I'm watching it. I'm going through them again now.
It's a good, typical British series.
My favourite one's Sons of Anarchy, but that gets me too. After that. So that to me is like overtraining. That's a similar type of thing.
Okay.
Too much going wrong, or too much going wrong. I can think of before I move on.
Too much stimulation, but you're burning the end. You're burning the candle at both ends as well. In that regard, So.
I used to do that all the time.
And the word I was looking for is adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue.
Oh yeah.
And if
it messes up with all the systems.
Yeah, it does indeed.
Because the similar type of thing in a way. Where you do the old self-talk, the monkey chatter. You're telling yourself all this rubbish, right? But this is not just the brain. This is the whole body wanting to shut down because because you're doing too much and trying to push the body when it doesn't want to be pushed.
No.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's and I said as I said at the start, everything has a big knock-on effect, and it affects everything. It will affect your relationship because you'll be moaning and whatever.
But at least with your body, yes, your mind and your body
Who's
affects
that singing in the background? Yeah, and you'll also have a loss of appetite. Now that to me is the end of the world if you've got loss of appetite.
Oh man,
that's it. My life's over.
I honestly, I feel for people that lose the taste. They lose taste, or they just, like you say, they lose that need for food, that appetite, and they just don't feel. They never feel like it.
Yeah.
I feel for them. I really do. Because food is so essential to me. I mean, just to be able to eat food and taste food and enjoy food.
Yeah. Well, I had a few problems over the years, but when I used to box, I had my nose plastered over my face once.
Okay.
A lot of people were happy about that, but it affected my taste, it affected my breathing, everything, and gradually it came back. So, but the other thing is that if it affects everything, including your appetite, you're going to end up with physical exhaustion because you'll be trying to do too much training and you're not fueling your body properly. We all know that you've got to have proper fuel, So, yeah. And then the injuries.
The niggles.
The niggles. Yeah, that's the next thing. And, here's a classic example. How many times on a football field, I don't know if you watch football games, but it doesn't happen in rugby, but it definitely happens in football, where the player makes a mistake, and rather than just throwing his hands up and say, "Sorry, mate, I've made a mistake," they have this phantom injury.
Oh yes,
yeah, it's called the loser's limp.
The loser's limp.
Loser's limp. That was from a sales thing, but it is the loser's limp. It's like, you're making an excuse for not reaching that tackle or the ball, and it's similar in this, but in a different type of way. It's still a loser's limp, right? But you've done it yourself. You've actually caused the problem.
Caused the problem. Yeah. You've cried wolf, and the wolf has come back to the ass.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what do you know about metabolic imbalances?
Okay, so when it comes to your metabolism, and again, this is a whole cascade effect on the body. So, if your metabolism is not firing, so in other words, you're not burning fuel efficiently when you're exercising, or when you're resting, your body's not recovering efficiently enough due to your metabolic imbalances. This is an impact that affects you in ways that, for example, you just cannot lose fat. So if you have excess fat you're trying to lose, you just can't do it, no matter what exercise you do. And this is one of the primary factors of overtraining is metabolic imbalances. So it goes straight from the brain, from the mind, all the way through the body, and it causes a lot of different. It has a lot of different knock-on effects because your metabolism is just not working in a way it's designed to work.
Yeah, and because the other thing, because everything's starting to go wrong, one of the things that you may well get, and that's chest infections. Okay. Now, when I was fit, if I had a cold or anything, I used to run through it, no problem whatsoever, and it was gone in a very short space of time. But if your immune system's starting to be impinged by what you're doing, by overtraining, then there's a good chance that your sleep's going to go down, your appetite's going to change slightly, maybe a lot, and then you're going to get these chest infections because your body's opening up. Then, I always find when I'm training, don't get injured, ever. If I have to take time off, which I shouldn't be doing, all the aches and pains come out. And all of a sudden I can't get going again now after 2 weeks. There's too many aches and pains. It's like I've aged 20 years overnight. It's like. There was one thing, like when I said about the food, the loss of appetite. you then get to a stage, and then I said it was the end of the world, didn't I? Because then you get the Doritos syndrome.
The Doritos syndrome.
You do, because you can't sleep, so you might get up and watch television or something, and you end up stuffing your face full of empty calories and stuff. These food scientists have put all this stuff in, so when you get the first Dorito, that's it, isn't it? I mean, it's like the end of the world, isn't it? You've got to eat the whole bag.
What those are those very thin round ones. What are those? I don't even know them because I stay away from them. They come in the tubes, in the long tubes.
I blame my girlfriend. She gets these bagged Doritos, and I've got to eat them. I never buy them. Never ever buy them. But what can I do? They're there.
If they're there, this is why I prefer not to have them there. I only buy what I want at the time. If I want something today, I'm not going to buy it for stock take.
Yeah.
That's too
much
much of a
so the other thing is that we again, it's the icing on the cake of all this is basically psychological stress and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that kicks in, it finishes the cycle, the circle, as it were. And then you're looking at all sorts of things going wrong, and because you've put some serious stress on your body. I'm talking about proper athletes. I'm not necessarily talking about someone just going out jogging, okay? But even then, you have to watch what you're doing and be aware of the body. But
of course, still got to work.
If you're doing some heavy training, though,
mm-hmm.
You've got to be aware all the time what's going on, and Anyway,
I'm constantly on the lookout for the signs nowadays. And especially as we get older, if the nutrition is not right, then the signs are going to start to show themselves a lot sooner and a lot more prevalently, a lot more powerfully. The signs are going to be a lot more evident. So when you as you start getting older, as you get into your 40s and above, it's even more important to just be consciously aware of what those signs are, because the mental fatigue is physically it's very limiting, obviously, in terms of your ability to move and things like this, okay? But the mental side of things can lead to depression.
Yeah.
So if you start getting mentally fatigued and you're constantly mentally fatigued, this is what happened to me when I had adrenal fatigue. So although it's my adrenaline was high so much, and I was trying so many different things to try to counter the fact that I wasn't reaching the goals that I wanted to reach, that all I was doing is I was just adding to the mental stress, the load on my subconscious. Like my confidence levels dropped, my belief in myself dropped, and then it started to add to the it just started to bring my levels of surety and confidence in that down, so that I started to become depressed. And then it becomes anxiety problems, and then it leads to anginas, and from an angina you start to get all kinds of things that lead from that, and then it's another cascade effect. It's a snowball effect.
It's a series of effects that all add up.
And then you start to do more damage to yourself physically because your mind is not where it should be.
I suppose the best one of the, is it an analogy anyway, where I look at it this way. Think about you take a bit to get into this, but think about a domestic violence situation where the male, I say it's the male, it's normally the male, but the male would come home and he would say something negative to his wife or partner or whatever, and kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. Individually, they're nothing or very little. As a combination, they're deadly. They're absolutely deadly for more than one reason. And it's the same when you overtrain, or if you don't have a good diet. One Mars bar doesn't mean anything. One takeaway doesn't mean anything, you know. But 24,000 Mars bars might make a difference.
Yeah, and
You know,
this is what I used to ask my clients. If I picked up a trait, I mean, like a trend. If they told me, I only had a Mars bar today, and I'm using examples, I can't think of one that was relevant, but they said I just had a Mars, because I asked, like, why is your energy so low? What's wrong with you? And they're like, oh, I had a Mars bar to eat today. So, and what else did you have to eat? I know, just a Mars bar. So that's all you had to eat the whole afternoon. Yeah.
you know why?
No way. And then when I see the same signs again, I ask them again. Okay, so what did you eat today? I just had a Mars bar today. Oh, really? Yeah. And then it's I explain the same thing that you just mentioned. Do it once or twice. It's okay. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. But if you're constantly doing this, that's going to have a compound effect on your health. Period.
Yeah.
And it's just that people don't think of it like that. They just think of the pleasures in the moment. It's the momentary pleasure. I haven't eaten all day, so I'm going to eat something quickly before I go train with Warren. And what they eat a Mars. They grab the most accessible thing that they can from the shelf of a store, and that's just a chocolate bar or something like that. And that's what they do. And they grab it, and they can eat it in the car on the way to the session with me, or whatever the case may be. And this becomes a habit. It becomes a pattern for them, and then it becomes comfortable. And then once it starts to become comfortable, rather than having food, it just becomes, this habit that just perpetuates itself. And then after a short while, that's it. Yeah.
Some people see it as a badge of honor, though. And I tell it not necessarily the Mars bar, but where someone's not happy with their weight or their body shape, and they don't eat all day. They think it's, well, I haven't eaten very much today. Well, that's your big mistake. You should be, at least 5 times a day. It's, just for your body to function properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I eat 5 times a day, and I'm not saying I eat all the right things all the time, but but generally speaking, I'm all right. I'm
You're
pretty
conscious.
fit. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. You're seriously. And again, kudos to you. I mean, watching that short video, I noticed the video, it wasn't for very long of you running across the lawn over there. I don't know if you were gagging for breath afterwards or not, but
No.
That little run that you did was, I'm joking, but that little run that you did.
I mean, look, when I was training last year, look, for people on here, I'm over 65, all right? And I was still I could still run 2 50-meter sprints in 7.5 seconds, 7.5. So, but when I started doing it, it wasn't 7.5 seconds.
Okay.
More like 8.5. Oh. So it takes time for your body to get back to used to sprinting again, because these fast twitch muscles and that, so, they're one of the first things to go.
Yeah,
not necessarily endurance, fast twitch muscles. But I'm still accelerating past 18-year-olds on the football field.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
And then you can laugh at them. And I do.
And then you have every reason to laugh at them. Because you
just make them laugh. That's all. You make them laugh. I don't mean it'd be nasty, but
no, it's a bit of banter. A bit of banter in that respect is good.
Yeah. Anyway, we go in this. It's really 35 minutes. So basically, be aware what you're doing if you're training. Get a friend, a buddy, or a trainer, a coach, someone who can guide you in the right direction. And especially if you've got no money, get a friend to go with you, and get them to watch what you're doing and give you a little bit of guidance. Someone who knows what they're doing,
And even especially if you're not paying for that advice.
Yeah.
If you're not paying for that advice, listen to the advice. Don't take it for granted because you're not paying for it. Especially when it's a friend, for example.
Yeah.
People take it for granted. They whatever. and that person saying, look, I see the signs, I'm telling you now, pay attention. And yeah, whatever. Just where's the other beer? Where's the next beer? But listen to that advice, because we often don't listen to the advice that is given to us for free.
Yeah, definitely. So if you've got any problems about training or anything like that, get in touch with us. And we'd love to hear from people. And if you had any problems in the past, what you did to overcome them, that's great. What I would say, if you found this useful, then please like it, comment on it, share, and and hopefully we can help people. But as I say, this has been 9 signs about showing you're doing too much training, overtraining, and if you are an athlete, then it can cause some serious serious problems in your performance, in your health, and everything else. So if you're
if you're a weekend warrior, Paul, even if you're a weekend warrior,
yeah, sorry. I mean, because it's different. It's different. You get a similar effect, but it is different because when it's like, and I want to give it this just last thing. I can't think of the rower now. He was
Redgrave. Steve Redgrave?
Yes. Yeah, right. Steve Redgrave. Now, the amount of work you have to be an Olympic gold medalist at rowing must be tremendous.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I wouldn't like to see his training schedule when he's at his peak.
No.
But he can't just stop. Right? He can't. Do you know what? I'm not going to train anymore. He has to come down gradually. I'm sure he would miss doing the training, some of the training anyway. But you can't just stop because, that's the challenge you have when you're an elite athlete. But for the weekend warrior, you've got to be careful as well, right? Mm-hmm. Don't go berserk for 1 day a week, right?
No, yeah.
Build up gradually. Get to know your body, and if you need advice, come back to us. If I don't know, I'll ask Warren. If Warren doesn't know, we'll have to ask him.
If you have a success story, please share it with us, because stories are always great to hear. If you have something a tale to tell, that's sort of relevant to any of the subjects that we share on these podcasts, And if you know somebody that you feel could do with listening to this conversation, then please share it with them as well. Don't be shy to share.
That's right. Lovely. Okay, great. Let's wave to everyone. We'll see you later. We'll see you next week. I'll see you Friday. I'll be on my own Friday. But it's been great. And thanks again, Warren.
Thank you, Paul.
Right.
Thank you to whomever watches this, and whomever is watching it at the moment. Take care.
Take care.